Salut class, this video focuses on the formation of the imperfect tense. Remember, you can pause and rewind this video as you need to. You've already learned how to talk about the past tense in one way because French people talk about what happened in the past using two different verb tenses. The first one you know, and I hope you can guess before I write it. Are you right? It's the passé composé. And we've studied this and we've reviewed this. The other one is the imparfait. This is the imperfect tense. Okay. The imparfait is used to describe habitual actions and conditions that existed in the past. It describes what people used to do and what they used to be. There are a lot of other uses of the imparfait, which we are going to get into later as we move on, but your goal in this video is to learn how to form it. Alright, so let's get into how you form it. The imparfait is a simple tense. So what that means is that it consists of one word, whereas the passé composé had two words because it was a complex tense. So the imparfait is formed with the imperfect stem plus the imperfect endings. So let's talk about how to form the imperfect. So for almost all verbs, regular, irregular, the imperfect stem is formed very easily. To get the imperfect stem, we take the new form of the verb. So let's do chanter, for example. So chanter is a regular ER verb. Conjugated for new, it is nous chantons. And then we take off the ONS, and we are left with our imperfect stem. What I'd like you to do is pause the video and try numbers 1 through 10. When you hit play, the answers will pop up so you can check them. So class, here are the answers. Notice that we have regular ER verbs, regular IR verbs, reflexive verbs, some irregular verbs, but all of them are formed the same way. You take the new form minus the ONS. There is only one verb that is irregular in the imparfait, and that verb is être. The new form of être is some, and that doesn't work well with our endings, so the stem for être is E accent aigu T. So this is your stem for être. So once you have your stem, you have to add the endings. The endings for the imperfect are as follows. AIS, AIS, AIT, IONS, IEZ, and then the more complicated one, AIENT. So let's do a practice one that would be like for regular ER verbs. Let's do the verb parler. So you start with the new form of the verb and take off the ONS, so your stem is parle, and then you add your endings. Je parlais, tu parlais, il, elle parlait, nous parlions, vous parliez, il, elle parlait. So notice there's still that ENT, but we still don't pronounce it. Je parlais, tu parlais, il parlait, nous parlions, vous parliez, il parlait. Now let's do regular IR verbs like finir. The new form is finissons. And we take off the O and S, so we're left with our stem. So try and fill this out before I do, and then check your work. Je finissais, tu finissais, il, elle finissait, nous finissions, vous finissiez, and il and elle finissaient. How did you do? Now for regular RE verbs, remember we take the new form, so of battre, for example, it is bâton. Take off the ONS, and we are left with je battais. Again, you try and fill this one out before I do, and then check your work. Tu battais, il, elle battait, nous battions, vous battiez, et elle battait. Now let's do one sample of an irregular verb, and remember this is how almost every irregular verb except for être is formed. We still find the new form of the verb, so faisons, and then we add our endings. Faisait, 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 faisions, faisiez, faisait. There is an exception, of course, it's French, and one of these exceptions are verbs that end in GER, like manger, voyager, protéger, ranger. You can think of many at this point. Just like it's an exception in the present tense, it's also an exception in the imperfect. And if you notice, any time that there is an A that starts the ending, we keep the E. So it turns out that that's in the boot, okay? Because notice outside the boot, we do not keep the E. So any verbs that end in GER are conjugated in the imperfect this way. One other exception that we're going to talk about today with the imperfect is to talk about verbs that end in CER. For example, commencer, effacer, annoncer, and then any others with that. For this, if you notice, in the boot, we add the cd underneath the C. Okay? For both GER verbs and CER verbs, this is a pronunciation thing. So just remember, in the boot, you add the cd under the C, but not necessary outside of the boot. Let's just talk real fast for a few common expressions that you're going to have. Il y a, which means there is, turns into il y avait, because we changed the avoir to the imparfait. Il neige, notice, it's a GER verb, so instead of saying it snows, we say it was snowing, and we have to keep that E. And then for il pleut, instead of it is raining, we say it was raining, il pleuvait. And again, we'll go into more details about when you use the imparfait and how you use it in the future, but for now, just get comfortable with these expressions and the conjugations. Now you've got 14 practice pieces, just conjugating the verbs. I would like you to pause the video, do them, and then check your answers. All right, here are your answers. Okay, how did you do on those? I hope you did well. This concludes our video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Remember, you can rewatch the video if you need help.